Since we last spoke, the Knicks go 1-3. Once again, it's like a habit. Let's talk about it.
Anthony for three.
I think we see Willis coming out. Won the NBA championship.
Have the first pick in the 1985 NBA college draft.
Season ends the hands of the Chicago Bulls. Reggie Miller is tied the game.
The Steelers get Bulls are your world champions.
New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis.
I want to talk about New York City for a second. The #1 media market in the world. Every player that's come here has been ridiculed one way or another. That leads me to Carmelo Anthony. The most ridiculed player that we have seen in our generation due to all the media buzz, the fans, him being up and down, hot and cold, not leading the team to what they were promised when they got him. One thing I can say about Carmelo Anthony is he has never been in the news for something off the court. He has done nothing more than be an absolute model citizen for New York City and for the NBA. That's why it upsets me when fans are calling for the trade of Carmelo Anthony. Not only will we not get the same value that we would expect in return for Melo, but on top of that, Carmelo has done nothing but put his heart and soul on the line for New York City, which is much more than we can say for any other superstar that has put on a New York Knicks uniform. Melo's now 8th or 9th in scoring all time. He's been a model for KP, and now he's getting the most ridicule that I think he's ever had here in New York. I need to tell the fans something right now. Carmelo's not going anywhere, and I'm extremely happy about that. We might not win a chip this year, next year, but for what he's doing for Kristaps Porzingis and the New York Knicks organization, let's not take it for granted. Let's take it to the round table. Welcome to the MadGood Knicks Show. I'm Far. That's TK. That's Jay. We're here to give you all the Knicks news all the damn time. Check us out on Instagram at MadGood Knicks Show. It's really hard to bring the energy after the Knicks just keep disappointing us time after time after time. As I said earlier, they went 1-3. This most recent loss at home to the Washington Wizards. It's like I was set up for disappointment. I think we all were almost expecting, when will the Knicks do something dumb? And it happened in just typical Knicks fashion, where Courtney Lee is on the corner, ready to hit a three, which is his specialty. He's #1 in the league on that front, and he doesn't. But what's more interesting, T, you want to tell him what the Knick factor here was?
In typical Knicks fashion, right? I believe I wrote a long sentiment the other day. Pertaining to how, as fans, we are tired of the excuses. We are tired as a fan base of reasons why the Knicks are not winning. And tonight, like none other, in typical Knicks fashion, we've seen yet another excuse. Courtney Lee, yes, he may have been distracted.
Anthony, outside. Lee, Jennings, Wall, the defense, Wall knocked it away.
Saw, another defender, which happened to be a coach, out the corner of his eye. But dude, shoot the ball, man. You had 6-7 seconds left. You're the league's leader in three-pointers. That's what you do. Catch and shoot, man. Let it go.
That's the big story here, is Courtney Lee saw a faux defender. It's like every time we're doing the show, something new is coming out that we've never really seen in the sport of basketball. But leave it up to the New York Knicks to bring it on the court somehow, some way.
Every time.
Lee, these guys don't empathize with you, but I sympathize with you. I played high school ball. I thought I saw someone. Nobody was there. I threw the ball out of bounds. Bruh. I know.
And that is what deterred John Jay's basketball career. This is why he's sitting with us
D3.
today.
That was it.
It's unbelievable. It's like everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and things that we never even knew could go wrong in basketball went wrong. So I don't want to opine too much on this. It was a hard-fought battle. The lineup changes, which we'll talk about, seem to be bringing a little bit of a boost. But
wait. Stay tuned to next week's episode where Kristaps Porzingis trips on his shoelace that happened to get untied.
And that's how we lose the game.
Like
You heard it here first.
His injury is going to be his unicorn horn.
Next question here on the roundtable. Let's talk about these lineups. First, I want to talk about the starting five that Jeff Hornacek recently put into place for the past 3 games. That is Ron Baker at the shooting guard, Kuzminskas at the forward spot at the 3, and Melo moving over to the power forward with O'Quinn and Plumlee and so on and so forth while Noah's injured, playing the 5. Ideally, it's supposed to be KP playing the 5. That's what Hornacek had mentioned. What do you guys think? Is it halfway through the season now? Is it too little, too late for this lineup change?
No, not at all. Better late than never. You know what I mean? And the bench here is what's really just stimulating this newfound offense.
Yeah.
We've needed this energy before. I've been saying it for a minute. Let's give these guys more minutes. I was talking about the mixing up of the lineup a while back, a few episodes back, where we mentioned Courtney Lee going to the bench. I wasn't expecting no one, but it happened.
I did. T?
I agree with you, but for different reasons, and I'm gonna say that it is a little too late.
What?
Here's the thing, man. Yeah, bro. Like, this should have happened a while ago when the Knicks lost 7 straight. You got to make a lineup decision in crunch time. You can't wait until the ship is almost completely sunk, and you want to make a lineup change. That's just not how things work. So the shakeup with Baker, kudos to you. Kuz getting him involved, we've been saying that since our preseason show. So I'm glad you finally watched, Jeff. We appreciate you watching, and you're an avid watcher, I know, because you do make changes after we do say that, hey, a change should be made.
I think this lineup change is great for the Knicks. I am kind of in your boat, though. I feel like the losing mentality of the Knicks has kind of just inserted itself into the Knicks' minds. And now they're finding ways to lose, i.e. Courtney Lee with his faux defender, ghost defender, whatever you want to call it. And it should have been after a 5 to 7 game losing skid. That's when you needed the change, when the Knicks still had confidence that they can win.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
Yeah. I don't think we are completely out of the playoff picture. We may still have a chance with this lineup. Horny needs to keep rolling with it, but he needs to stay more consistent.
I agree. And speaking of consistency, Billy Hernan-Gomez.
Wow.
Where is he?
Where?
So he goes 17 and 11
Yeah.
in the previous game against Boston, which was a win, and he absolutely dominated.
Bro.
Nowhere to be seen in the next game. I'm not sure if it's a minutes restriction, but I've never heard of that coming out of Hornacek's mouth. And this is the inconsistency of the bench, I think, is my biggest ridicule of Jeff Hornacek.
All season long as well.
It's been costing us games.
Really
You're not going to last in New York if you cost us games through your decision making. It's all on the players, of course, but when they put forth this type of effort, especially on the defensive end, they have the past few games, that lineup needs to be smarter, Coach Hornacek.
Where's Phil in all of this? When he noticed certain bright spots? Because he took a chance scouting these players, drafting these players, or trading for them. Where do you come in hey, this is actually manufacturing to something really good in front of our eyes?
I think we'll get into that later. And big ups to Phil on that, because he did select a great
We will talk about that later. But one thing I do want to say about Phil is he can't win here. And I don't mean on the court, I don't mean with the Knicks, I mean Phil Jackson can't win with the media and with the fans. Because if he steps in and says something, butt out, you're not the head coach. If he doesn't do anything, what the hell, you're the president, you're supposed to be in front of the cameras. This happens time and time again with Phil Jackson. Make up your goddamn mind. It's that simple.
He has us right where he wants us. I think Phil's a smart man. Yeah, we wrapped around his figure. You see him at games, he's yawning because he's like, I knew what I was getting into.
Kuz starting, great move.
Yeah.
Baker starting, good move.
Holiday
Billy,
get more minutes,
good move. Billy playing one night, next night you don't see him, bad move.
Bad. No me gusta.
let's talk about our issue with the bigs since we're on that topic. Who's expendable here? Because right now, Marshall Plumlee is giving heart and hustle unlike any other Knicks player, and I will take that any day of the week in New York.
Absolutely.
Kyle O'Quinn has been doing what he's been doing outside of that flu game that he had. He's been on point for the better part of the season. Billy Hernan-Gomez, we just spoke about him. And then there's Joakim Noah. We can't get rid of him, so forget about trading Joakim because he's got too big of a camera.
We actually
contract.
can. Hold on, Joakim. Hold on. I like
Not
you,
so
bro.
fast.
Yeah, but the possibility is there. Under the cap provisions, we can actually waive him and spread out his contract over longer years under the new CBA deal.
Oh, wow.
So that could actually benefit us in the short term.
So we would pull an Allen Houston with him?
Yeah.
That's another thing to bring up.
I would rather.
But Houston was a really big contract, and he actually didn't play.
Yeah.
Noah for now is actually playing here and there. You know, there's short injuries, but
So back to the original question here. As far as who would be expendable, being that we kind of shifted Melo to a big now, and we also moved Porzingis under Hornacek's lineup to a center. To me, the only person I could see being expendable with this new news to me, besides Noah, would be Kyle O'Quinn. His value is probably at an all-time high right now. I love KO. I know I bashed him early on in the season. I apologize several times. Please stop, unblocking us, and please unblock us.
like reverse it,
Please just hit the follow button. But anyway, that's beside the point. Kyle O'Quinn, I think he's the most expendable big.
I think he's got a lot of value. I don't think Billy's going anywhere because he's friends with KP. Marshall.
And he has amazing footwork. God
He does.
damn.
He absolutely does. And Marshall isn't going anywhere. He doesn't really have any value, and I'd love to keep him. Joakim's contract isn't going anywhere. I think, unfortunately, Kyle O'Quinn is the most expendable piece for the New York Knicks at this moment.
Yeah. What do you say, Jay?
Give me some picks.
For Kyle O'Quinn?
Yeah, and I'm talking
You
first
pushing
round.
him, bro. We ain't worth that much.
Wrong.
Wrong.
What could this man do? Let's say on a Warriors team. It doesn't have to be middle fucking first round pick. We can find some gold late first round. It's a deep draft.
Yeah. That's quite the possibility. But you heard it here first, right? Willie is a future All-Star. Keep that man on our bench.
Kyle
and get him
O'Quinn,
some
I don't
minutes.
think is a future Knick. So we had mentioned the Knicks go 1-3, and they've been on a horrendous stretch. And in particular, we got to look at the defensive side of the ball. Let's take it to the wild card now. We'll be right back with the roundtable. We're going to talk second chance points, opponents' points off of turnovers, and a couple of other factors that led the Knicks from their 14-10 all the way down to the 11th and 12th seeds in the Eastern Conference. Let's check it out.
Why don't we start this one like a classic YouTube intro? What's going on, guys? Welcome to the middle of the roundtable wild card. We're talking the Knicks season so far. As you guys know, the Knicks started out pretty alright, but then the season went abysmal. They started out 14-10. They were third in the Eastern Conference. Since then, they've gone 4-14. What the fuck is going on? That's what our job was, to figure it out. So we delved deep into the stats to see if we could pull out any discernible trends to explain this phenomenon.
Right, just like Pete said, what we did was we looked at the main traditional stats like points, rebounds, steals, blocks, etc. Surprisingly enough, no trends or correlations in that area. Most of the trends and correlations that we saw were on the defensive stats.
Yeah, that's right. When you're looking at sort of the traditional offensive stats, they were flat all across the board, which is a bit of a surprise. Our hunch was that we'd find more answers in the defensive stats, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Of course, our hunch comes from the fact that we've been watching the Knicks all season long. We've seen a lot of lapses on the defensive end. Obviously, we've been saying all along that defense is a liability.
Right.
We're talking transition defense, we're talking pick and roll defense, and perimeter defense. In terms of effort and fundamentals,
we just got this gut instinct. When you compare the first half of the season to the second half when we were over 500, we saw no effort, man. We saw guys doing stupid fundamental mistakes. Like, I even know my high school coach taught me, block the passing lane, keep your eye on your man and on the ball. Like in some games against the Pelicans, against the Celtics, these guys are totally lacking in fundamentals. They're just not looking at their man. They get open perimeter shots. We have to be professional, and we have to realize that we're in the NBA and these things can't be happening.
Exactly right. So to kind of get into it, let's dig deep into the stats. The first thing we noticed was second chance points. So the Knicks were actually pretty decent in the beginning of the season. Since then, their second chance points have dropped precipitously.
Right.
Once again, we noticed that the offensive stats stayed pretty flat. So this can completely be attributed to lack of effort, lack of getting on 50-50 balls,
Absolutely.
rebounding intensity. Sometimes we see that there's no guys around the basket rebounding on Knicks shots, and something that you've pointed out.
Yeah, how many times have we watched these games and we see the opposing team get a steal? They run down the court. The offensive guys are back before our defenders are back in the other half of the court. That's just unacceptable. And if our turnovers have been stagnant all through the season, by process of elimination, that shows you there's no effort.
Yeah. Another stat that highlights the defensive liabilities is the opponent's points off turnovers.
Right.
Now, in the beginning of the season, we kept our opponents down to 15 points. Now our opponents are scoring 20 points off our turnovers. That's almost a quarter's worth of buckets. Again, with the flat offensive stats, that's completely attributed to us not getting back. Now, either it's the transition D itself, we're not getting back. It's that when we do get back, we're not communicating or doing the right things, being in the right spacing, or a combination of the two. Either way, that sort of leads us into the final stat, which is a big one: opponents' fast break points. Our opponents are running on us all the time. At the beginning of the season, we kept them around 9 points. They've almost doubled that in the January to late December period when we started losing games like crazy. We're just not running back.
I think that's a lot attributed to the fact that we have been sucking at offensive rebounds. In the first half, we were ranked 3rd in the NBA. Offensive rebounds, killing it. This second half of the season, we dropped down in the ranks, and that just shows because, like we said before, the turnovers have stayed pretty flat. So if they're getting more fast break points, that shows we're not getting back or we're not going for the boards.
Yeah, exactly. Overall in our losses, our opponents tend to make a lot more fast break points than we do. Again, with the exception of tonight's game that had some spurts of greatness, and then the Boston game where they were actually, trying to attack some of these points, the second chance points, we saw a lot of effort and hustle in that Boston game to sort of reverse this trend.
Yeah.
Defense really is a team effort. It's about cohesiveness, and one of the points you made is this team has a lot of rookies, some guys with one-year contracts, some guys with huge contracts, a lot of people trying to prove themselves, but at the same time playing defense is about letting go of your ego, communicating, and working within a system. So how do you balance those two? How does Hornacek go forward with these lineups and make this all happen?
Difficult, man. It's difficult being the coach of the New York Knicks, especially when you're not really guaranteed a job year in and year out. Especially with the players being brand new and the team being refreshed, it's difficult to develop this structure, to develop this bond between the players. With the exception of Melo and Dolan, everyone else has been changing. But it's like I feel like it's certain ends of the floor, certain lineups work really well. For example, a prime example would be Kuz and Brandon Jennings. On the offensive end, they're very fluid. I love the way they move around. Like Kuz gets open with him, and they can do great pick and rolls. But on the other end, on the defensive end, I've seen 4 or 5 examples of terrible miscommunication on defense, pick and rolls, Kuz losing his man, Brandon Jennings losing his man. So it's difficult to get these rotations to work on both ends of the floor, especially if these players haven't been playing together.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually, with these new lineups as of late, I'm kind of excited to see where this goes in the rest of the season, how Hornacek responds and what we do as far as trades go. But clearly, the stats we talked about, the defensive stats, are the liability. Offensively, I think with a few tightening up of screws, we can actually be a pretty good offensive team.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens. And let's take it back to the roundtable, guys. Have question number 3.
We miss you guys.
Miss you too, guys.
I lied.
Next question here on the roundtable. Staying on the topic of Phil Jackson. Again, I do give this man credit. I think we might have the best rookie class in the NBA right now. Considering that we had 0 draft picks, that is amazing. At this current moment, we have 2 starters who are rookies, 2 solid bench players who come off and do their thing, and then you have Maurice Andor, who can't win them all, right? What do you guys think, Jay? This draft class in particular, which wasn't even a draft, but Phil went out and found these folks. And maybe it wasn't him, but whoever he has working for him are the ones who get these talented players in.
I think we did amazing in the sense of drafting a lot of international players that have a different mindset, let's say, to American players growing up in the system.
Yep.
So these people are, if anything, overappreciative to get an opportunity. And they realize they're in a big market like New York City. They have to capitalize on this for their career, for there to be even a future in their career elsewhere. They know the spotlight's on them. Kuz, I guarantee you right now, could get a contract if he was a free agent next season.
To piggyback along with what Jay said about our overseas talent that we found, tremendous big ups to the scouting team who found them. But something I was thinking about last night in my guys,
I don't like bugs.
Ron Baker and Plumlee. They were both captains on their team in college, and they were seniors. And if I'm not mistaken, Wichita State went to a Final Four with Ron Baker leading them, and Plumlee won an NCAA championship. So these are quality guys. These aren't just the bottom of the barrel. These are professionals.
And let me quickly just add on to that. Mindaugas Kuzminskas has won a championship overseas, been an all-star, been Lithuanian Player of the Year.
Ooh, keep it up. Keep it up. Just
keep it up, man.
Keep
it up. So these are folks that Phil Jackson sought out because the Knicks had a problem in trading away all their draft picks, and he picked up for that. But no one wants to talk about it. All right, final question here on the roundtable. Trade rumors have been going rampant since the Knicks started tanking the season. Not on purpose, of course. They're just really bad. CP3 has been on the top of the list for many reasons. Mel's not going anywhere. His buddy is. Chris Paul. The Clippers aren't really moving in the West, so that seems like a viable option. I want to get your guys' opinion on this because it's been rampant through the news. T, let's start with you. CP3 to the Knicks, 2017-2018. What do you think?
At this point, I'd say let's go all in. We have really nothing to lose. We have a bunch of young talent. I believe we discussed this a couple minutes ago. You guys should know Kuz, Baker, Willie. I think they could benefit tremendously from a talented, true professional point guard like
So Chris Paul as the main starting point guard.
Yeah, I don't see what else out there on the market. I'm not buying Holiday. I'm not wasting money on him. I don't think he can bring us a Drew Holiday. I don't think he can make us a championship. What about Derrick Rose? The guy we have already?
Yeah, re-signing him instead of Chris Paul.
You mean on this 19 and 25 team?
That's correct.
No.
Okay. Jay.
I'm going to bring an interesting idea that is probably not possible. I say we re-sign Rose, but have him come off as, sixth man on the bench, get Chris Paul. Pay both what they need to be paid. Let's pay the luxury tax. We're in New York, we can afford it. Now, no. I know you're giving me this crazy face, but that true veteran, someone that's relatively more healthy than Rose.
You know what Rose is asking for?
I know he's asking for that money, but bring it down to 3 years. 2 maybe a player option.
If there's any way the Knicks could swing that and put Rose on the bench, I mean, more power to you. I think Chris Paul would really benefit the Knicks. I'm tired of the old players in New York. Look, we gave Melo so much ridicule. He's done so much for the city, specifically on scoring. He's been that go-to guy and our safety net. Adding Chris Paul at his age, yeah, it's going to benefit us. Yeah, he'll probably give us 10 more wins, but it's not the answer.
Do you remember the last time we had an old, amazing point guard?
I do. I also remember that was week East, and we had more than just one veteran on the team.
All right, so adding him to the puzzle is another good veteran, and we already have veterans on the team.
Chris Paul is the second coming to John Stockton.
Chris Paul is also out 6-8 weeks with an injury.
Which is not his fault.
It's not his fault, but he's aging and he has injuries. Are you crazy to re-sign someone like that and make that same stupid mistake New York does time and time again?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why Knick fans are where they are. I don't think that's a solution. I don't have the answer, but my solution.
Not the one talking about if you have a superstar on the market, you go out and get him.
Right.
Referencing Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, I'm fucking 27-year-old Carmelo Anthony, not 32-year-old 6-8 weeks on the IR Chris Paul. Are you fucking kidding me right now? We're going to make the same mistake over and over again. No, go ahead. Argue with me, man. A 33-year-old point guard who right now is on the IR. You're going to give him a contract.
Yes. Are you kidding right now? This isn't like Nate Robinson we're talking about. This is fucking Chris Paul, dude.
And once again, Knick fans, we will be in the same exact position.
I'm sorry.
If he gets hurt, what's our backup plan?
Because Derrick Rose,
hold on. You said nothing about Derrick Rose, and you're saying something that's likely never to happen.
Hold on. You're comparing Chris Paul, a future Hall of Famer, to the terrible picks of Eddie Curry, the Steve Francis, the Stephon Marbury. You're comparing Chris Paul
I'm comparing a 33-year-old on the IR right now, Chris Paul, to them. Yes.
Right.
Contract
a future Hall of Famer
absolutely.
who would not who's been relatively healthy throughout his career. Some
No,
minor nicks
not
here
recently.
and there, minor nicks here and there. This is Chris Paul we're talking about. If Carmelo's ever going to make a difference in his career, it will be with someone like Chris Paul. Unless you can find a way to pull fucking LeBron James out of your ass, I will bring Chris Paul here and see what can work. 33 or not, he's not 49, okay? This isn't Chris Paul in a wheelchair.
Was it not D-Wade just now that learned how to shoot threes? Like, you adapt. If you're a smart player in this league, you adapt.
He
And I
not
think
only
Chris
learned
Paul's
how
of
to
that
shoot
caliber.
threes, he transformed Jimmy Butler into like a superstar out of this world. He's averaging 25, 6, and 7. Like, these are what these players do. Chris Paul is a legitimate professional Hall of Fame point guard. If you can bring that in over the youngest MVP of all time, I will take that. Derrick Rose is not anywhere on the level of Chris Paul.
When that contract comes in, Chris Paul will get paid from the Knicks if we sign him.
Sure.
That contract comes in.
It'll be a short-term deal.
But
Listen to me now.
that's
Short-term
the
deal.
other thing. You're talking what, 2 to 3 years?
2 to 3 years, tops.
If he takes something like that, great. I think it's a liability having someone that old playing point guard for the New York Knicks. So you guys are all in on Chris Paul. That's a
There's no
consensus
alternative.
here.
There's no
you heard my
alternative.
little, I want to just, have my cake and eat it too. I was like,
Yeah. You were talking Derrick. You're talking something that's likely
There's
not
no
to happen.
alternative.
There's no.
But I'm
alternative.
thinking outside the box, all
How
right?
about
bro?
building? How about building?
What are
Because
you
you know
building
what? We're
what?
not winning a championship with Chris Paul over the next 2 to 3 years.
If
Okay, I'm
we
sorry.
build, we need to trade for a good first-round pick. I'm telling you, let's get my dude Ball from UCLA.
No, dude, I don't want
been
to see.
saying it, let's get him.
Listen, man, listen. You have a 21-year-old Kristaps Porzingis. He is not going to develop into the player you guys keep talking about he's going to be if we don't have a legitimate point guard. You saw Derrick Rose did nothing for his development thus far this season.
Because he's not that type of point guard.
Well, there you go. Let's
No,
get
I'm
fucking
agreeing
Chris
with you,
Paul.
yeah.
Chris
He's
Paul
a-
is a floor general. He's made Tyson Chandler into an
I
all-star.
guess it's a risk you're willing to take.
Absolutely.
If
it makes
Chris
sense
Paul,
in the position
If-
itself.
of
Whatever
course,
Chris
but he
Paul
calls
signs
for a
this
general.
contract and we will overpay the shit out of him because we're the New York
Okay,
Knicks.
also another realistic option, maybe a little bit more realistic. Rubio is on the trade market.
Absolutely not.
Bruh, as a point guard,
No.
as a pass first point guard,
No. No, you don't need just a pass for. Listen, Chris Paul sets the tempo of the game. And that's been the Knicks' biggest flaw this season. I don't care about a scoring point guard. I don't care about a pass first point guard. We have no tempo. We always play the other team's game. We'll run up and down the court when it's suitable for the other team. We'll slow it down in half court when it's suitable for the other team. Chris Paul plays his tempo at all times. You're going to sign this man 33, 43, doesn't matter. If he can come in for 2 seasons and put the Knicks back to where they need to go and help develop our young guys, I'll take that. I'm not saying sign Chris Paul for the championship. I'm saying sign Chris Paul to get the maximum out of Melo, to get KP to be where he needs to go.
They'll get some of the
Kuz,
easiest looks.
Willie,
They will.
like Chris Paul is
a
top
mastermind.
5 point guards all time. Get this man. That's it. He's a floor general. That's what we need. Sign him.
So I might have like Knicks. I'll wrap it up on this point. That's a good point that you make in terms of development. I think, and in terms of getting the most out of Carmelo Anthony. I think I have New York Knicks PTSD because when we sign a superstar over the age of 30, that never works out. That is facts. And that is exactly why I'm going to recommend that the Knicks do this the old school way, the old-fashioned way, and build up. Build someone alongside KP. That's how you want to develop them. We could sign Chris Paul for a 2 to 3 year contract. In 2 to 3 years, we're going to be in the exact same boat that we are in most likely because that is exactly what happens every single time. Good point on your Chris Paul and development. I agree that's probably the best way to maximize Melo, but I just can't buy into it one more time. On that note, thank you all for joining us. This was a heated debate. Hope you'll tune in again. Check us out on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We're all there. Let's take it to the memes of the week.